The Redmi Note 9S was one of the best value for money smartphones from 2020, and in fact, I have a full review of this device on the channel. I recommended this device a lot, and this is the third unit I've purchased with my money. Now that's a long story. Is the smartphone still worth buying right now in 2020, or should you rather go get the newer devices like the Redmi Note 10 or the Samsung Galaxy A22? That's what we want to find out in this video, and so without taking much of your time, yo guys, let's get started. This is not going to be like a whole new review, as I have covered that already on this channel. In this video, I'm simply answering the question whether it is still worth buying the Redmi Note 9S right now. Now for a refresher, the Redmi Note 9S comes with 4 to 6 gigs of RAM, 64 to 128 gigs of internal storage, and the Snapdragon 720G chipset. Now this is a chipset that is found on a couple interesting smartphones made this year, like the Samsung Galaxy A52 and the A72. Of course, this hardware is super familiar and there isn't too much to talk about here. You get an all-glass smartphone for both the front and the back, Gorilla Glass 5 protection, and still retains the headphone jack. And you do not get this IP rating for the smartphone, but the water repellent tag is slapped on the Redmi Note 9S. As far as the build, this is a classic and one I still love up till this day. If you got the Redmi Note 9S from last year, it came out of the box with Android 10, but this smartphone is upgradable to Android 11 and MIUI 12, which is a good thing to give it a fresh breath of life. That's to this device. On the camera side of things, you get a 48 megapixel main sensor, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel macro, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor, while the front camera is a 16 megapixel sensor. The photos are really comparable, in fact about the same as you'd get from the Redmi Note 10 from this year. Videos are also close in quality and can be recorded at up to 4K from the rear sensor. The one thing you would notice here is that if you handle the smartphone roughly, like over your time of use, you might notice slight degradation to the photos coming from the smartphone, and that's because you might have gotten scratches all over your lens cover. Otherwise, when you compare with devices around the same price tag, it battles with the greats in terms of the video and photo quality. Speaking of prices, the Redmi Note 9S at the base configuration will set you back about $185 or 97,000 naira, which is a great deal for what it's worth. So my final take on the Redmi Note 9S in 2021 would be, in as much as I want to say that this is a very wonderful device and all fingers point to the fact that you should get it right now, you might not exactly want to get this smartphone right now, and here's why. This conclusion will be split in two parts. For those people who already own the Redmi Note 9S and are considering getting other devices, and also for those who want to go pick up the Redmi Note 9S right now. Now, if you already own the Redmi Note 9S and you're thinking of getting an upgrade to the smartphone, I would suggest you don't get any other device around the same price tag, as they're about the same thing and comparable in terms of the photos you get and the processing you get from the smartphone. You might only want to consider other devices when you have a bigger budget or something way out of this league. But if you are an all-new user and you want to go pick up this device right now, I'd say you'd rather go pick up the Redmi Note 10 or maybe the Samsung Galaxy A22. These are similar smartphones in terms of the processing capabilities, and also newer devices coming this year like the Redmi Note 10 and the A22 from Samsung are newer devices this year. Hence, you should expect at least a year longer software updates on those devices than the Redmi Note 9S. And the added advantage to getting the newer devices like the Redmi Note 10 and Galaxy A22 would be the Super AMOLED display instead of the IPS LCD panel you get from the smartphone, the faster charger you get from within the boxes of those devices. But the Redmi Note 9S slightly beats the Redmi Note 10 in terms of the speed and processing, and every other aspects are quite close enough that you wouldn't really notice a difference between these two smartphones. Now here is another angle. If you are a new buyer and you get to see the Redmi Note 9S at a discounted price, by all means go get the device, as this device is worth its current price. Thanks for watching. Sub and like this video if you loved it. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. That day.